Without a machete in this environment, you don't last.
Yeah.
And you know that now. Like you in that tangle, to just take 3 steps that way I would immediately be taking on, I mean, I'm not wearing shoes right now.
Yeah.
Bullet ants, venomous snakes, spikes through my feet, tripping over myself. I don't have a headlamp. Unbelievable risk right there. We're sitting on the edge of tragedy.
Can you explain what the purpose of the machete in this situation is? Like, what is a machete? How does it work? How does it allow you to navigate in this exceptionally dense environment?
So this is the tool that I spend most of my life carrying. This is in my hand for 90% of my time. And in the jungle, you really need a machete. There's so much plant life here that you have to cut your way through. And like a jaguar, an ocelot, a lot of these other animals that are more horizontally based and low to the ground, they can make it, like when we got stuck in those bamboo patches and we were just hacking through them, and it's dangerous. And there's, as you hit the bamboo, it ricochets and there's spikes, and then one piece falls and it pulls a vine that has spikes on it, and that hits you in the neck. And the jungle is savage to humans. But if you are an agouti, a little rodent, or a jaguar or a deer, you can kind of slip through this stuff. And the deer have developed really small antlers. They can just kind of weave through, low to the ground. And so for us, being these vertical beings walking through the jungle, it really helps to be able to move the sticks that are diagonally opposing your movement at all times. So a machete is just a very, very useful tool. It can help you pull thorns out of your body. As you saw last night, we can use it to find food.
You went machete fishing. You cut a fish head off with a machete by, like, it was swimming, and then you basically, macheted the water. And the other fascinating thing about that fish without its head, it kept moving. So
that was amazing.
It was just using, I guess, its nervous system to swim beautifully. I mean, there's so many questions there about how nature works.
Well, let's explain it, because the way the machete hit this fish, it kind of took his eyes off of, and his lower jaw was still there. So it was really just like the brain and the top jaw that came off. And this fish, as the dust cleared in this stream, I found it very haunting in a very like interstellar way. Like it was just, the programming was still there, but the brain was gone, and the fish was just still moving, and it was going to die, but it was still swimming, and it looked like a live fish. It was something.
And you're still trying to catch it, which is interesting.
And I still had to work to catch it, because every time I caught it, it would freak out, and then it would jump back in the water. And I'm programmed here from years and years of living in the Amazon that everything can hurt you. So you actually become quite, if a moth lands on you, you flick it because it could be a bullet ant. And so even the fish here, a lot of the fish here have spikes coming out of them. And so even though I know that fish, I know its name, I've eaten them many times, as I was holding it, when it would twitch with that explosive power, just like the caiman, I would get that fear response and release it. And so that happened 3 or 4 times before I finally said, this is stupid. Even though he's slippery, he hasn't got a head. I can hold on to him. I put him in my pocket.
Yeah, you put him in my pocket.
And then we fried him up.
And he was delicious. So, and I'm grateful for his existence and for his role and for my existence on this planet, this brief existence, that I was able to enjoy that delicious, delicious fish. So the machete is used to cut through this extremely dense jungle. There's vines, by the way. There's rope-like things that are extremely strong, and they go all kinds of directions. They go horizontal and all of this. I don't even... we have a tree right above us. That makes no sense. There's like a tree that kind of failed, and then a new tree was created on top of it. It just makes no sense. It feels like sometimes trees come from the sky, sometimes they come from the ground. I don't really quite understand how that works, because there's new trees that grow on old trees, and the old trees rot away, and the new trees come up.
Yeah,
that whole mechanism.
Strangler figs. And so strangler figs, as you go across the world's ecosystems, that whole belt of, whether you're in rainforests in the Amazon, the Congo, Indonesia, all across the tropics, you have strangler figs. And the amazing thing that this species does, it's become a keystone species across the planet with a hyper influence on its ecosystem wherever it is, because they produce fruit in the dry season when the rest of the forest is making it hard for animals to find fruit, to find food. And so the bats, the birds, the monkeys, they all go to the strangler fig. They eat the fruit. And the fruit, of course, is just tricking the animals. The plants are tricking the animals into carrying their seeds to another tree. And so they're getting free transportation. Monkey takes a poop on another tree after eating strangler figs, and then that strangler fig sends out its vines, gets to the ground, and then as soon as it begins sucking up nutrients, outcompetes that tree for light, grows hyperdrive around the trunk of that tree, and then eventually that tree will die, and the strangler fig will win because it got a boost up to the top. Whereas these little trees down here, they're gonna have to wait their turn. They have to wait until a tree falls, until there's a light gap, and then they have enough food to grow quick. And so this whole thing is an energy economy. Everything is just trying to get sunlight. And so strangler figs, top-down trees growing, or parasitic top-down octopus trees growing over other giant trees. And you've seen the size of some of the trees here.
So, back to Percy Fawcett and exploration. What do you think it was like for him back then, 100 years ago? God damn. Going to the jungle.
Well, the thing is, those guys didn't go with the locals. They came down here with like mules, and they tried to do it their way.
Yeah.
And so he's one of the people that wrote about the green hell, the jungle as the oppressive war zone where there's nothing to eat and everything is killing you. And it's, I think that image is so wrong, because as you saw last night, we could go, if we went out with JJ right now, we would machete fish some fish. We could start a little fire. We'd do it all in shorts. Like to JJ, it's green paradise. And it's intense, but if you know what you're doing, which the local people surely do, well, then just beneath the sand, there's turtle eggs that you can eat. And inside the nuts on the ground, there's grubs that you can eat. And if you really needed to, you could just jump on a caiman and eat that, because their tails are pretty full of meat. And it's like, there's actually unending amounts of food here. And so they were pretty, they were a strange bunch.
If you're able to tune into that frequency, I feel like you and JJ are able to tune to the frequency of the jungle that is a provider, not a destroyer of human life, right?
Yeah.
Like I think to be collaborated with, not fought against.
Yes, but we're coming at that with our modern lens, because we're coming down here with, I've survived how many infections in the jungle where those probably would have killed me before.
Yeah.
So my dead ass opinion of the jungle would have been overwhelming and collective murder, as Herzog says. And so Percy Fawcett was coming down here with this view of it's trying to kill us at all times, where we are flying down here and coming out here with our superior medicines and our ability to survive infections. And so it is different for us. It is different. We're coming at this very, very different. But Fawcett, to me, was like the last of like the real swashbucklers, like the really batshit crazy explorers that just went out into the dark spaces on the map. And it's very hard for me to identify with him. But with, for instance, Richard Evans Schultes from Harvard, that's someone where you go, okay, now we're getting to the point where I can start to understand. I mean, just like the conquistadors, and they tell you the conquistadors showed up, and, they killed, the Spanish killed 2,000 Inca on the first day, and then they marched to this city. And they're like, when I hear about can you imagine yourself just like slaughtering a bunch of women and children and soldiers, and then just like drinking some wine and doing it again tomorrow? Yes. I can't actually wrap my head around that.
Yeah, it just seems like an entire different world.
Nah, like different world,
different value system.
Different value system.
A different relationship with violence and life and death. I think we value life more. We resist violence more.
Yeah, like I can't. Like if we saw a car accident, I feel like if I saw a car accident, like or if you see a little bit of war, some violence, like it affects you. These people were so comfortable with those things. Yeah. It was such a normal part of the Spartans, the Comanches, like they became so comfortable with war to the point that it became what they did.
And they celebrated it too.
They celebrated it.
And direct violence too, like taking that machete and murdering me. Or if I got to the machete first, me murdering you.
Not a chance, bitch.
And then I would put it on Instagram
On
and
his own
show
show.
off. And the number of DMs I would get from murdering you with a machete.
Meanwhile, half the world right now is messaging me saying my DMs are filled with take care of Lex, don't lose Lex, make sure Lex comes back safe. Lex is a national treasure. We love Lex. Make sure he holds a snake. The amount of love that is out there.
Meanwhile, I emerge from the jungle with blood around me with a machete, and I take over your Instagram account.
He's very humble. He doesn't want to hear about the love.